Nice.
And here we are. Do you
Nice
like
intro.
it? Yeah,
That's cool.
the wonders of modern design programs. You don't actually need to be a graphic designer anymore. I thought this morning, we need some, new title and something new for the show. Yeah, welcome everybody out there, and it's Friday, 1 p.m. CT, and that means my nice co-host here, Jonatan. Welcome, Jonatan, and
Thank you.
myself. We have the pleasure of sharing some of our wisdom with you guys out there when it comes to trading, talking about cryptocurrencies, hopefully spotting some nice trading setups.
I got that package coming up. Just give me a second, okay? I'll be back shortly.
I'll just keep on talking here then.
Yeah.
And wait, we'll bring him back on once he's back. So like I said, we renamed the whole stream here to Satoshi's Secrets, and we're going to be live every Friday at 1 p.m. CMT. So that's, I think, 11 a.m. GMT. Talk a little bit about crypto, talk, of course, about trading. So I'm sure Jonatan has some really nice trading setups for us again in some cryptocurrencies. I'm going to share the results of, the first, what is it, 9 days or 8 days of trading my new momentum equilibrium indicator strategy, the one I am also sharing currently on my Telegram channel. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, he's back already. Welcome back. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to walk you through later. So basically, I was just talking about my new indicator, which I'm doing an open beta test, by the way, for the community if you want to test out totally for free that indicator. This is basically the pinnacle of my work. I really have to say it like this, like all my strategies that I trade put together in one easy to use indicator that just prints buy and sell signals that you still need to, put in context, of course, of support and resistance. But I was amazed actually that what works for me for like higher time frames, like weekly and monthly charts that I use for option trading, works so well, especially on cryptocurrencies on the real low time frames. So especially on the 2-minute time frames, we've seen some great trading results there. And let me maybe, that's you. I haven't shared my screen yet. Sorry.
Yeah, that's mine.
That's you. Okay, I think this is me here probably. So yeah, especially here, the last trades we saw here, that is Ripple, for example, you can see that most of the signals really spot on. So I want to talk a little bit about this later. As I said, if you're interested in using this indicator as well, I'm making it freely available at the moment, at least until end of August. I want to do kind of like an open beta test. In the description of this video, you'll find a link to a little Google form. You just put in your email, your TradingView username, and then I'm going to grant you access to this, and you can try it out for yourself if it's something that works for you, or maybe you say, all right, that's not really compatible to my own trading strategies. And I've been live trading this on a very small scale, I have to say, since August 1st, and the results have been breathtaking, really. I have to put it like this. You can see here on our account here, WeX Exchange, I always traded like very small position sizes. This is how I always approach something new, try it out on demo, then trade very small position sizes. And as you gain trust in that system, you, of course, then eventually will scale it up. And since August 1st, when I started this, we had 13 trades executed, and 12 of them were closed in profits. And the one that didn't close in profit was my own fault, because I kind of panicked, because that was like the day when we had the crazy volatility, really, in PopCap, that is. So far, success rate of 92%. This is really unlike anything I've so far done when it comes to trading. Starting Monday, I want to up the position sizing for this a little bit. So I'm, of course, still going to use this account and see how far we can drive a profit here. So instead of $1,000 per position, I'm probably going to use $2,000 or $2,500. So if I because one of my strategies is always to also try to scale a little bit into the markets, that we can also start to utilize some leverage. As I said, link to the indicator in the description of this video. Feel free to try it out for yourself. And highly recommended also to join the Telegram group because I explain a lot of the trades there, why I took certain trades, why I didn't take certain trades. We can show a thing or two on this, of course, here later too. As I said, you need to always take into account support and resistance to filter out the good from the average or the bad signals. And yeah, I want to make this like a habit of talking about this like every Friday now. So we see kind of a progression, hopefully continuous progression walking forward. As I said, this strategy and all the other stuff we are trading here crypto-wise are traded on an exchange called VX, no KYC exchange. I started working together with them, trading with them not that long ago, but I really like what I see so far. And they were also so kind of providing us with this account. So if you want to give them a try, check them out, join our community there. You'll also find a link in the description of this live stream. Also, feel free, of course, to ask your questions. And we'll, of course, try to answer as many as possible. Tips, tricks, and backflips. That's also a really cool name.
How are you? We are doing well. I like that.
So, Jonatan, what have you been looking at recently when it comes to crypto?
Yeah, so, well, you know, I've... I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure most of you remember. We had this. I would have to say crash. You know, some type of crash that we see here after the. It wasn't the non-farm payroll, but it was like unemployment change and job numbers coming out of the U.S. on last Friday, and basically what happened was. You know, I'm not going to go into details, but you had, I guess, you had a combination of the USD JPY carry trade unwinding, as well as fears of a recession in the US, which kind of, you know, the whole market just panicked. We saw Bitcoin fall down to a very, you know, significant level, a level that I've been watching for quite a long time. And right here, when we did hit that 0.618, I started buying Bitcoin. Like I remember, you know, with that wick and everything, I remember posting on Twitter, like this is a good time to buy Bitcoin. Everyone's like panicking, saying like, oh, we broke market structure and everything, and why would you want to be buying here? Well, because it's high time frame support. It's the 0.618. It's a level where I think buying is a really good opportunity to start filling, you know, your long-term bags. And my holding validation for this is below 40,000. So, you know, we came down, we hit around 50K, still 10,000 above my invalidation level. So far away from my invalidation level, started filling up on that position on Bitcoin. And now, of course, like almost always happens after a exaggerated fear event like the one we had on Friday, the market started retracing to the upside. I was away on Monday and Tuesdays that didn't have the chance to take this trade, but I want to show you a really cool trade. Let's see, that was on the 5th. Yeah, so that was on Monday. Now, I've started getting a little bit more interested in order blocks. Okay, so basically, what an order block is the first. So I guess a bullish order block, or is it a bearish order block? I don't know. I think it's a bullish order block, but an order block is basically the last candle prior to the big move to the upside. So that bearish candle right there is an order block because that is the last printed candle before this big move to the upside. So what I see here, and this is something I really like looking at, is when price comes down and hits a major support level, like happened here. So we can look at the weekly. It's obviously some sort of like support area here. We can just make it very wide, but if you look at this level as support, you can see how this is on weekly, right? You see our price struggling to get above here, big wick, lots of selling. When we break this level to the upside, it's a very strong move to the upside. It's definitely something going on here, and then there's a lot of conferences as well with different indicators. But what I saw was price is coming down. Price hits that level and prints a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle. Okay, so it prints a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle. Now, what's interesting here is you have this order block. So that is, let's see, we see buy zone. I'm going to do that one. So this is the order block. I'm just going to use the body, and I'm going to ignore the wicks. But that's the order block, right? And I think we can add a text here as well. No, I'm not going to do that. Never mind. And now we have a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle and that order block. And you'll see that what happens now is if we mark out the high of that order block, which is that white dotted line, you'll see that if you would have put your orders on that order block, and this is something I've started testing, and the result is actually very, very good. And then you put stop loss below these wicks, you would have seen that it comes down and it's testing the top of that order block perfectly before moving higher. And not only does it move higher, but it moves up to like the level where we broke down. So I would argue that the level where all of this broke would be somewhere around this area. That's where people kind of started getting a little bit fearful because we broke this support level. And back up to that level, you have above 2R on that trade. And this is actually quite it's a quite high probability trade. Of course, trading is very risky, but this is actually not as risky as it might look. You have a big move to the downside, but you're not trying to catch a falling knife because you get a 4-hour candle as confirmation. Usually when you talk about, the dangers of catching a falling knife, you talk about scalping and you're talking about trading the move once it's happening. And right here, we're actually seeing lots of confirmation that this level that we marked out, the 0.618, is acting as support. So another thing that we can add to this is the fibs of the 4-hour candle. So if you add the fibs from that low to this high, you'll see something interesting happening here. The beginning of that order block is right above the 50% fib. Now, this is not true in this case, but usually what I see is when the order block is in conflict with the reload zone, and I'll show you, this is the reload zone right here, and I'm trying to look at I'm trying to find patterns of this playing out in other markets. So this is not the perfect example because here you see price comes down and it just hits the top of that order block, and maybe that's all we need. Okay, maybe we don't really need the fib here, but I'm experimenting with trying to find how often does price come down and test the reload zone or the 0.618 inside the order block before moving higher. Because imagine if you were able to enter around that area, then the risk to reward of this trade would be actually quite high, would be like almost 4R. So that's something I'm trying to experiment. What I'm doing is I'm going through all my trades because they all pretty much look the same. This is a perfect example of one of the trades that I would take, and basically that is just and this is without using fibs, without using any indicators. I'm just looking at where do I have a likely high time frame support, which would be this area. And when I have a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle, I usually just enter on the candle close, stops below the wicks, and then I'm going to TP at 0.53R, and it plays out quite quickly. So that would be the trade I usually take, right? But if I'm able to get in down here, I could get above 1R, or I'm just looking at a scalp. I'm just looking at this, just I would have been filled. I would have been filled, and I would have been out of this trade within a few hours, like 2 hours, right? So what I'm doing in that case is like you could say that my trading style now is a combination of scalping and swing trading. And I remember actually on this Tuesday, we had Saul, the CEO of the Fibers, on the live trading room, and he explained how he looked at scalping as not the time frames that you're using, but he basically defined scalping as trading from one immediate level to the next immediate level, and that could be on any time frame, just to make sure that that level is the actual first trouble area. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm looking at the high time frames for the area where we're most likely going to bounce, which is quite obvious, I must say, this level right here. Price comes down. What happens at that level? Forms a bullish engulfing candle on the 4 hour. And now I'm just looking for the smallest possible move that would fit with my win rate, which is just to the very, very next level above, which in this case might just be that level right there. Or even if I can take profit here, I'm going to do that as well. So you see, up to that level right there with that entry, half an hour trade, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So it's interesting, how as traders we begin with one way of trading, but we always develop. Like like you, Dirk, you've just created this indicator, and you're trading much differently now than when we
Absolutely.
first,
Yeah.
started talking about this. So yeah, I think this here is it breaks down my trading style, and it can't. I don't think it can get any more simpler than this. Look for high time frame level, 4 hour bullish engulfing, buy. That's
So
it.
if I'm not mistaken, I think this whole order blocks is that coming from Victor? Or?
Well, I think Victor
Oh,
Victor is definitely the one that you
yeah.
know brought my attention to order
Yeah.
blocks, because the way he's using order blocks and the way that the level of success that he has reached with using order blocks has definitely made me interested
Mhm.
in this whole way of trading. But then again, like, you see, when I started trading, um, I had I had this vision of myself to be trading, these naked charts, just with
Mhm.
horizontal levels and price action. I had this clear vision of him as like, I want to be that type of trader. I want to be, because that looked like just magic to me, right? How can you decipher candlestick patterns without any indicators, anything like that? Like, that just looked like magic to me. So I started adding indicators because I needed something to help, guide me. But now it's like I'm struggling to find indicators that gives a better result than just looking at my simple, horizontal levels. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we first of all, a beautiful example, and I think you're right. It doesn't get any more simple than that, really. And even if you use indicators, like I'm starting to do more often now, at least on the lower time frames, we always have to see, of course, what is an indicator. It's also just a different method of displaying price and price action, And you could, for example, also hard code something like this as an indicator, on the
Yeah.
4 hour time frame. Look for me for bullish engulfing patterns that fulfill certain criteria. It's probably something actually I could code in half an hour. It's not that problem. It's always a variation, in my opinion, about support and resistance. And yeah, some people can see that with a naked eye. For me, always the problem is because I'm looking at a lot of charts, also outside of crypto, that I don't always see these things. And that's why I need sometimes, in this case, this indicator to kind of alert me, hey, Dirk, there's something going on currently.
Yeah.
You should have a look at that at the moment. And but I wanted to actually like add a little bit about Bitcoin, because I saw today on social media quite a lot of stuff going on, posts about there is a death cross coming up on Bitcoin.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah, oh no, it
Uh,
sounds so.
look,
It's.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's.
honestly, in the beginning, I that would have been like, oh no, I got to sell Bitcoin. But now I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
No, it's actually the name is a little bit irritating,
yeah,
and but I want to touch base a little bit on that, because probably you guys, if you're on social media, if you're on Twitter, sooner or later you will read about this, and you'll probably see videos popping up left and right, and. So what is a death cross? A death cross is simply when the 50 days moving average of Bitcoin falls under the 200 days moving average. Both for sure like things that traders look at. And supposedly it means like same like the golden cross, it means like, oh no, death cross, it's over, bull run is over, Bitcoin is going to fall now. However, this couldn't be farther from the truth than in reality is really something else. The last death cross, for example, we saw here was in September of 2023, and arguably this was a pretty good time to buy Bitcoin there, because that was really before things started setting into motion, and we entered the early beginnings of the bull run we are seeing right now. And something Benjamin Coven from Into the Cryptoverse, for example, pointed out on Monday, that was already. So when we were trading down here, he said, yeah, we are going to see the Steph cross. But what usually happens is that Bitcoin rallies into the Steph cross. So once you see the 50 days moving average falling under the 200, that Bitcoin likes to be, in that region here. So that would be, for the last time, likes to trade in between the moving averages then, before possibly things fall down. Now, the one thing that could speak for that we are not through the roughest part of the correction right now is structure. Let me put it like this: what we are seeing right now looks a lot like what we've seen, for example, also in 2019, where that was before the Corona dump, actually, where we also had like a series here of lower highs and lower lows. So pretty much what we are seeing right now. And there was this fourth lower low, arguably for Corona. So kind of doubtful, are we going to see this one again nowadays, this time? But we had a series of 3 lower lows now already. Actually, could also be 4 lower lows, depending on how you count. So these structures are very, very similar, and could indicate that we are maybe through the roughest part of this correction again. It could also mean that we see one more slump down, maybe to something like, I don't know, 45,000, 44 or 42,000. However, I wouldn't depend on this, because the time is ticking. I said it many times before on the logarithmic Bitcoin chart here, until we come into this phase where the likelihood of Bitcoin going into the frenzy bull market mode, Bitcoin.
I gotta clip that. That's a short.
that's going to make an amazing short. Yeah, actually. Until Bitcoin really enters this bull market frenzy. I said it. I expected the earliest late October, maybe beginning of November, latest February of 2025. So that gives us, in the best scenario from now on, about, what do we have now, beginning of August, actually maybe like 2.5 months until, let's say, in 2.5 months, of course, there is still a lot of stuff that can happen. So if we really see Bitcoin still one more time testing a lower low, well, if that is the case, then this is a good case probably to buy now. Also, if we fall below 40,000, just like Jonatan said earlier, this could be an indication that the bull market is over already. I highly doubt this, but it's something you need to be prepared for. So in a gist is, be prepared that there is still going to be volatility to the upside. Now slowly everybody is becoming like a little bit euphoric again. Yeah, just 3 days ago we had like the fear and greed index, I think, at 20. Extreme fear at prices of 50,000 or 55,000. That's crazy in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now it's like slowly going to the other side again. Suddenly everybody's expecting, we're going to attack 72, 74, and finally we're going above that. So be a little bit careful. We should mint a coin name. I'm actually sure there is a meme coin probably called Bitcoin already.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Bitcoin, and then we'll print my face on it.
Nice.
And it's not going to the moon, it's going down.
Yeah.
And so be a little bit careful. I did a lot of grid trading in the past months. I stopped all grid trading now, because I anticipate that this swing to the upside probably is going to come, and you don't want to be stuck in grid trading strategy when the market starts trending. Were you done already, or did you want to add something still? Because I would go.
Yeah,
otherwise.
I'm looking at. I want to show something that I'm kind of experimenting with. Well, I'm thinking about the fact that we're currently at resistance. So this blue box right here, this is where we're currently looking at. Let's look at the daily. So I'm viewing this as resistance, and it looks like we might have a heavy rejection at this level, but I'm not. I think we have news as well. Let me check that quickly. Do we have USD news today? I think we do, right? It's the 8th.
No.
Okay, nothing.
Canadian unemployment rate.
Okay, we already had. That was. Oh, okay, that was yesterday. So we only have Canada. Okay, not Canada, Canada. So this is the
Canadian.
level here,
Canadian
and
buckle.
Canada buckle. Yeah.
Well, next
Okay, so we
Wednesday
have
we have inflation data, US again. So
nice. Okay, so and that's going to be huge, by the way. So here we have, if I put the fib on from this high all the way down to this low, we get a perfect test of the 0.618. Now, if it's one indicator that I'm using, it's the fibs, and it's these levels, because the 0.618 it's so good when it aligns with a horizontal level. So this is resistance right here. Now, if I'm looking at this, if I'm looking at the Forex market, I'm going to be viewing this from this perspective, okay? And I'm going to be saying, okay, this is a downtrend. We are seeing a downtrend. Now, no Forex market looks like this, you know? Well, maybe some JPY pairs, but you won't see Forex market that looks like this, but you will see a lot of Forex market that looks like this. This type of price action that we're seeing inside this channel is very much like the Forex market. So if we ignore the fact that this is Bitcoin and we're in a hyper bullish weekly uptrend, I would short this right away. But now I'm not really sure about the idea of shorting this because Bitcoin is such a bullish asset. So I think the way that I want to be trading Bitcoin is to the upside. I think there's there's a much higher probability of trading Bitcoin long only. I think that is
absolutely.
so. From my perspective, like if I would short this, then I would wait for this 4-hour candle to close, and then I would probably just enter at market, and I would be looking for just a move to this level, because it's a very small move to the downside to this level to hit these this support, because it's a fairly interesting support level, and I can have a very wide stop loss and still get the risk to reward that I want on this one. But again, I'm not sure if shorting Bitcoin is the way to go, and I feel right now I have to kind of, because I've had a very good winning streak for the last 2 months. I'm 75% win rate, I believe, last month, and it's just very good. So the reason why I've had such a good streak now is because I believe uh, it's just purely mental. Like I know exactly what I'm supposed to do from a mental point of view, but the reason why I'm trading well now is because I'm patient, I'm trading less, and more importantly, I'm disciplined in waiting for the plans to play out that I make on the weekends. And this is not a weekend plan. However, the weekend plan, this was the weekend plan, and I missed that one, which adds to the frustration, which add a little bit of frustration, which I believe is affecting my decision making on this short right here. And when I say things like Bitcoin is probably best traded only to the upside, that makes perfect sense. So why am I still looking at a potential short? What I should be doing is just remove this drawing, remove that one, and just be happy with the fact that I have an idea for Bitcoin, and that is going long only, and stick with that because it makes sense. And I think that is intuitively the best thing to do here. So when I think about it, and when I think about along those lines, it's obvious that this trade, if I enter this trade and it hits stop loss, I would be very unhappy with that. I would be very frustrated with the fact that I said that I'm not gonna short Bitcoin, and I shorted it anyway. So I think that's a good thought exercise. Is look at, so you put the short tool on here, or whatever, if you're going short or long or whatever, you put that on, and what you can do is envision this trade moving like this. Would you be happy with that? Would you be okay with that? Is this still a good trade? And I would say no, absolutely not. It's not a good trade. If price moves like this, I would not be happy with that. But if I put the tool on here, and I go long here, stops down here. Sorry, that's the wrong one. And my trade looks this, and now price moves to the downside, then I would say, yeah, I'm happy with this because you had a bullish engulfing candle at high time frame support. So if I think that's a really good lesson. Look at envision yourself having that loss, and then ask yourself, is it still a good trade?
I think for me, the point also is when we look at where are we in terms of the cyclical behavior of Bitcoin. We have these. This is a bit old already now. I did this a while ago when the price was still at 64,000. But the message, of course, here is that you have these 3 years of bull run for Bitcoin and then 1 year of bear market. And we've repeated this pattern since 2011. So it's a valid pattern. And the question then is, when we are in these 3 years where we usually have bull markets, or where we have bull markets and Bitcoin is performing well, do we want to gamble with short positions there? For me, the obvious answer is no. I don't want to do this because I'm going really against the market trend if I do that. And as a trader, I don't want to do that, obviously. So that alone, scares me a little bit away from engaging too much short action on Bitcoin. Something else, of course, if we look at meme coins or something like this. However, we also have to keep in mind, and this is also what makes me a little bit cautious at the moment, that I don't want to be over euphoric that we are breaking out of over our all-time high there at 72 or 73,000 US dollars. That historically speaking, September is the worst month for Bitcoin. So we are now in August, which is an average month, on average 1.97% in return. However, September on average sees a loss of 4.78%. October then is like one of the strongest months again. So that makes me at least a little bit wary, that if I look at data like this, that we shouldn't have the expectation that things is happening immediately. And this is also by accident really perfectly in sync with what I'm expecting for the rest of this year and the beginning of next year. But if we really see something like this, if we see something like the 19%, for example, we saw minus 90% in 2014, or even something like minus 7% or minus 13%, it's going to shake a lot of people out of the market again. Although, as somebody who trades crypto, has been in crypto, has been hodling for since 2017 now, basically, it's of course nothing that scares you really, because you're used to that kind of volatility. But a lot of new players, especially those maybe who for the first time now invested into the ETFs, I read, for example, JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, I think it was JP Morgan, is making the Bitcoin ETFs available to their wealth managers, or wealth advisors, like the guys that come to your home and they kind of advise you on what to invest and what not. They are allowed to advise you now to invest a little bit into Bitcoin. So that potentially, again, billions and billions and billions of US dollars going into the ETFs. However, those people can quickly also become very nervous, obviously, because they are not used to this kind of volatility. They freak out already, of course, when they see something like, oh my God, the stock market is down by 8%. Where as somebody who's in cryptocurrency, you're like, oh, it's only 8%. Okay, nothing, normal Monday, And so have that in the back of your head. I'm not saying that necessarily September needs to be a bad month. We can see that, of course, we had also years where were positive months, but it might be at best, in my opinion, maybe a slow month and that would be actually something good for the market, where we again maybe have a bit of a boring sideways range. Until then, finally, 2 months of boring sideways range, and then a break out to the north. This is what I wish for. I really hope we are not going to see another critical slump down of, 15, 20, or 25%, because that could potentially lead to ETF investors, throwing the towel and getting out because they just cannot handle it, and negative attention then to media, by the media to Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. I would like to go over now, talk a little bit about my, by the way, here, in our long-term model, the logarithmic regression is like nothing happened again, really. We almost hit, well, it's still a lot of space, actually, the lower channel here. As I said, always a great opportunity to buy. We also saw the MV-RV Z-score resetting a little bit, so only trading here at 1.69, still a lot of space until probably that area around 5.5 to 6. I might be looking actually this time at 5.5 because, like you said, the last time also there might be a decay in alpha over the time as Bitcoin grows bigger and bigger as an asset class. Okay, let's quickly jump into signals from my indicator, and I'll start here with some examples from Ripple that really worked almost scary well for the past day. So this is a 2-minute chart, Ripple TIFA US dollar. Why Ripple? I'm trading it on Popcat. I'm trading it on Bitcoin, on the 50-minute chart, Bitcoin that is. I'm trading it on Dogecoin, and I'm trading it on Ripple. Why? Because those are not so highly correlated with each other. If I would trade it, for example, on Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are correlated by 0.88, meaning Ethereum is by 88% always copying the moves of Bitcoin. Doesn't make sense to use, in my opinion at least, a strategy on two assets that almost behave the same. Bless you.
Thank you.
And yeah, as I said, whenever or the way this indicator is designed, there's a lot of stuff that goes into the indicator, and of course, to protect my proprietary knowledge here a little bit, I don't want to go too much into details. By the end of the day, what this indicator is it alerts you that currently price action and other stuff that's going in there, so sentiment, for example, is another one, is showing signs of potential reversals. Every time that is a potential reversal to the upside, you'll get a buy signal here. Every time that's a potential reversal to the downside, you get a sell signal. These signals by itself, as you can see, are already very good. However, you'll also sometimes have signals like this one, for example, here, that turn out to be very difficult to trade. Yeah? There was not much upside potential. Probably you ended up with a loss. And the way you can filter out the signals is by adding, and here we are again, support and resistance. So to closely observe, is, for example, this buy signal here, that came before this large green candle, by the way, somewhere at a zone of support and resistance. And you can see this one is not so super perfect, but it was somewhere here just shy outside of this red box, which is a zone of resistance. So in this case, it makes sense to trade this signal because there is a likelihood that price will bounce off of this resistance, and this is what I did. Yeah, it didn't go all the way up to the upper zone of the resistance, but gave you more than enough time either to take some profits. And I'm very much there on your side, by the way. Also, Jonatan, you don't need to wait until the next level of resistance or support is reached. You know, if you can take half an hour or 0.6 hour off the table, especially on those lower time frames, you're already very good in doing so. You're going to be profitable if you're not overdoing it when it comes to leverage. Like if you trade, let's say, an account with 10K on it and you always bet like 100K, it's just a matter of time until probably you'll end up losing all of your money. And let's have a look here at the next one, for example, which was this sell signal here. Let me zoom in maybe a little bit. It's better to see. That was this on this red candle here. This one, and right now the indicator is repainting. Not my indicator, the support and resistance indicator I have here. So there was an area of resistance here, the sell signal directly at the area of the resistance, so a very good buy. And I don't know why my support and resistance levels are not sure or displaying correctly. Anyway, however, this signal, for example, here, and here we go. This one was printed at a level where we were already very close to the top of this area of resistance in this case, or it was an area of support here when the price was still above these levels, of course. And this is something I wouldn't trade. Why? Because the potential to the downside that we fall to the lower channel is much higher, or the way down there is much larger than the tiny little bit I've left until the top of this resistance level. So in this case, it was also wise to wait until we got buy signals printed directly at the lower edge of this zone of resistance. And this worked out very well. In this case, you could have waited all the way up until you had the sell signal here. This signal, again, something I didn't trade because it was somewhere in between, in nowhere's land. This one this morning, I also didn't trade because it was also somewhere in between. I'm not saying you cannot trade these signals, but you have to be prepared, of course, a little bit to see more false signals, or actually signals that are more difficult to trade. Another way that you can trade this, and I'm doing this actually quite often also, but you need, let's say, better nerves for that. So if you're a little bit on the jumpy side and get scared by the markets a lot, maybe this is nothing you should do. I'm that way, by the way, so I get nervous very fast when a position does not do what I expected it to do. But what you could also do is you could also scale into the markets. So buy here, buy 2 times more here, and give it more space and time, to go to the upside. It's kind of like averaging you in yourself into the markets, which usually is not a good strategy. So probably you would hear from almost everybody who has been trading for a while, when price action, when your positions go against you, don't throw good money after bad money. However, we are looking here 2-minute charts, and this is a strategy that can work out very well. However, you need to have a stop somewhere, because you'll also have sometimes signals that go a little bit into your direction and then just go against you. And the longer time is between when a signal occurred and where the price currently is trading, the less valid this signal becomes. So these buy signals are, of course, not valid anymore when like hours and hours have passed already and we are still trading here. Then you shouldn't buy anymore because, a couple of hours ago, there were buy signals printed. Very easy to use. You'll get false signals sometimes, but like the one we saw yesterday, for example, here, was that August 8th? Yeah, yesterday evening on Bitcoin, the sell signal. Lucky I didn't see that one yesterday. But also here, if you have the nerves, you could have played a strategy now, shorting a bit here, then shorting a bit here again. This morning it caught, but it was at 1 a.m. my time, so of course I wasn't awake there. But you could have caught almost the top here with the signals, and probably would be in profit if you combine both positions. However, this is a bit more advanced. In the beginning, when you want to use this indicator, really look for these zones of support and resistance. I'm personally using, you can hand draw those. There's a pretty cool indicator, in my opinion, called SRMTF. SRMTF, Support Resistance Channel Zones Multi-Time Frame. And the way I use this indicator is that I have it here on the 15-minute time frame for Bitcoin, but it's displaying support and resistance levels from the 4-hour time frame. The same, for example, if we look here at Ripple, I'm using support and resistance levels here also from the 4-hour time frame. You can also switch this to 1 hour. Works very well, in my opinion, too. And it's really the only reason is to get a feeling for, is this signal in a zone of confluence? Confluence, I mean, is this somewhere where it makes sense, at the top of a resistance level, at the bottom of a support level when it's a buy signal, for example. This is very important, and this will help you a lot, to kind of calm down your nerves, because you don't have to trade every signal. I got some feedback, by the way, from other users also already, who said like, hey, this works very well with the order book, not order block in this case, order book indicators I'm using. So everybody, of course, has their own views how to look at the markets. I think, especially if you're a beginner, this tool can really help you to kind of filter out the times when there's not much going on the markets, and draw your attention to the charts you apply to when there is actually significant price action, significant stuff going on the markets. And then you can, use it as a baseline to analyze things further according to yourself, according to whatever strategy you are using, whatever means you are using of looking at the markets. does that signal make sense there? Well, okay, when it's, another tick on the box pointing you in a direction, maybe I should go long or short there. If it doesn't make sense, well, then, it's not for you a zone of confluence. And I'm highlighting this so much because I get a lot of messages about, wow, can I automate this thing? And I always write, well, you could, of course, potentially, you could say something like, you know what, every time a buy signal appears, I'm going to buy. Every time a sell signal appears, I'm going to switch my position and then reverse it into a sell, into a short position. But that strategy won't earn you money long term. Because
I must say that this indicator marks out levels very nicely.
It does. It's really good. I mean, it's basically the gist of 26 years of experience in trading, and it's like really hundreds. I don't want to brag, like hundreds of hours of development that went into this. And somebody's asking here, the indicator is released, and I'm doing an open beta test at the moment for it. You can find in the description of this video a link to a Google form where you can sign up. You need to put in your trading view name. Then I'm going to add you to the people that are allowed access to this indicator. And once that is done, give me sometimes a couple of hours. I don't always see it immediately. Obviously, you can find it here under invite only. You'll find that one is called a market equilibrium indicator. There's also a Telegram channel where I post my own signals, my own trades, where I go a little bit more into detail. Why did I take a trade? Why didn't I take a trade? For you, hopefully, to take away, kind of a best practice. And yeah, it's a beta test, like I said. So it's free until end of August. And then I'm probably I'm not completely sure about this, but some kind of, monthly payment or whatever, but for sure something that maybe everybody can afford. I'm not going to charge you like $10,000 or whatever every month. Right now we have already 90 people or 91 people, as a matter of fact, that are beta testing this, and I'm getting pretty awesome feedback. I'm very happy that it seems to be a tool that's helping people. Going forward, as I said, I'm always going to transparently share every week on this live stream how was the last week of training this, because you can be sure that I'm going to make mistakes as well. Maybe not as often as somebody is a beginner, but I make mistakes also. And an example of this that had a good outcome, for example, is here on PopCat, where I entered this short trade this morning. This was actually, let's look at this one. So the last one you see here, where I shorted it at 63.42 cents. And somehow, I don't know why, I had like a feeling something is not quite right. So I closed it with just a little bit of profit here with $9 on 19.5% calculated as a return on the margin you are using here. And it turned out to be kind of a good hunch. It turned out that is not a good signal. I probably would have otherwise taken the loss here when we entered this zone of support, this zone of resistance here. I mean, eventually it came down again for sure, but you can be 100% sure that I would have exited this trade once we enter this large zone of resistance here. But that is something I cannot describe. Do you have that sometimes too, that you get like a hunch, like something is not right here with this trade? Yeah. I need to get out of this trade. And very often for me, that actually works, that my hunch is right. But it's always hard to differentiate for me. Am I just making things up, or is that like my subconscious trading mind trying to tell me something?
No, I think I think you're absolutely right. I think that intuitive side of trading is very important. Sometimes we just get that idea that like, okay, I need to get out of this trade right now. It just doesn't feel right. But I think that's our. I mean, we've been looking at the markets and charts for so many years now that the brain gives us signals intuitively without us really realizing. It's like we see signs in the market, and then our brain is interpreting those signs without us, with us knowing. It happens so quickly, and There must be some scientific explanation
That for sure
of
is.
that.
For me, it's like, like learning a language. When you pass this level, suddenly, for me at least, came suddenly, where you don't need to think about where you don't need to think in your native language first and then mentally translate it into the new language you want to
Yeah.
communicate in, where that happens somehow simultaneously, intuitively. I can really well still remember when, like, I think I was like in 6th or 7th grade or something. Back then we started learning English in 5th grade, where I actually approached my mom one day, said, somehow I don't need to think about how to translate from German to English anymore. It just happens on the fly. And maybe it's a little bit like this here. Question from Stinky Crypto here. How do people provide feedback? Do you have a community or something like that where we can discuss amongst traders? Because the Telegram is just for receiving messages. As I said, I have a Telegram channel where I share this, and you can DM me on Telegram, of course, directly also. Just important, I'm not going to message you first with a DM. If anybody messages you first without you first messaging, this 100% is scam. But feel free to send me a DM, ask your questions about it, share your ideas. And for sure, if later on I'm really going to release this in what form ever, like permanently to the public, I'm going to maybe on Discord or something also have like discussion groups where traders can like interact with each other directly. I think that's part of the fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to testing that indicator out as well.
Yeah, go ahead. One word of warning here, though, with this indicator. There's like one type of asset where it doesn't work very well, and that is where long-term. Actually, Bitcoin is a good example of this. If you apply this indicator to a daily chart of Bitcoin, maybe we switch here just to the daily chart. It's not going to work very well. You see this here. Because it's not working well on assets that have the tendency, long-term, that is long-term charts, that have the tendency to trade sideways and then suddenly go into parabolic price movements.
Yeah.
This so don't use it like on long-term crypto charts, especially, well, at least long-term Bitcoin charts or Ethereum charts. It's not going to work. It's probably the same. I haven't tested that actually. If you look like at a share like Nvidia or Apple, something that, or Tesla, that has like appreciated by a lot. No, of course, you'll still have those zones where it points out very well when the top of a market is reached, like here. But you'll pay probably a dear price for that. Many times, especially if you want to use a tactic scaling into the markets, you're probably going to start cry when you started selling here at 35,000 US dollars all the way up to 72,000 US dollars. I don't think that's going to end on enough. Use it really on smaller timeframes. And I cannot believe that I'm here telling you to look at lower timeframes, which is something like a year ago I never would have told you. But yeah. Then again, a year ago, I never tested this strategy on lower timeframes. And as you said, Jonatan, we all change over time.
I think the lower timeframes does provide us with. I mean, I honestly think that if I can't really trade the lower timeframes. I mean, I can, but given my personality and life situation, I'm not able to trade the lower timeframes actively and successfully. But I think if you're able to trade the lower timeframes, I mean, I think that's where most of the opportunities are. If you are, disciplined and what you're looking for, and a lot of the indicators that I've looked at for signals work pretty good on the lower time frames. When you're looking at like the lower than the 1 hour, or even the 1 hour and the 50 minutes, stuff like that. So I do think that there is a lot of opportunity on the lower time frames, but it's a whole nother world. It's very, very difficult to trade the lower time frames.
And yet, this is what we see beginners doing most of the times. They want to trade those 1-minute charts, 5-minute charts, and that in combination with the trading apps out there that kind of reward you with achievements or whatever when you trade a lot, when you have a lot. I always call it clickety-click action. Potentially, like, not a very good and profitable setup to be in. So my hope is really that maybe at least something like this can, stop you a bit from trading at times when there's not so much to see at the charts. Stunky, question here from Z Pirani. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. What time frame do you recommend using the indicator? Stinky Crypto. Yeah, currently 2 minutes, 50 minutes Bitcoin, 50 minutes. You can, of course, use it also on 1 minute or 2 minutes Bitcoin. The thing is, of course, you have to pay your broker a fee always. And for Bitcoin, you need, in order to compensate for those fees at most brokers, at least, like a price move of 80 to 120 US dollars already. And so it doesn't make sense, on the 1 minute time frame to aim at a price swing of, let's say, $200, just to that, like 60% of your profit is already gone for paying fees. This is why I chose here the 50-minute time frame, because very often you will also see, and the last signal is, of course, also a good example of this, so a signal appeared here, where you have enough, potential price movement to the downside. I mean, we are looking here at, what is that, $600 at the moment, at the lowest point. So this is, of course, more than I would be aiming for something like $400, $500 here, and then maybe closing part of a position and setting my stop loss to my entry price, plus something like $80 or $100 to also there compensate the fees if I get stopped out. And then 2 minutes Doge. Doge can be a little bit difficult, so that's the one that's always giving the most headache. Very erratic, the movement. Ripple works very well at the moment, and Popcat on the 2 minute time frames, because those have great volatility. So a move within a couple of minutes to like 3, 4, 5% to the upside or downside is like very common there. And of course, try it out on a demo first, and then start with lower amounts of money. This is, for example, why I'm trading already pretty low account with 10K on it right now, just with 1K of positioning size, because I need to gain trust, obviously, in this system also, even after 26 years. This is my go-to strategy. Now I have a little bit of trust. Now I can maybe up to $2,000 or $2,500 US dollars and see how it works then. Because your mentality, your psyche needs to adapt to that as well, that the numbers get bigger. Yeah.
Interesting. It's going to be interesting to see.
Give it a try. I actually experimented with a little bit on Forex with it as well. Euro dollar gave me nice trades this week. I messed it all up yesterday when I got chicken feeds on the long signal and exited my position when we went under 109. Should have held on to that position, but it works. It would be nice to hear your feedback, of course, as well, Jonatan. Maybe how it also combines with like the order block things that you showed us here. Could also be, that like if you get something like this in combination, it's like the super signal then to throw all your money into something. I'm just
No, it's gonna be very interesting to see and try it out and see how it works.
Mew your store. Okay, nice. I'll have a look at that. Thank you for the tip, for the trick. and let's see, like going forward, of course, we can add more to the channel, also more pairs that I trade with it. But it's for me always a little bit like Jonatan also said, I only want to trade this when I really have the time. And with all my other business ventures going on and my long-term positioning, which of course is like 90% of what I'm invested in, all the video productions, the live streams, you do, we do on different channels. There's not always a lot of times, and I don't like to be like, I'm going to sit in front of my screen now for an hour and trade something. If I do this, I want to concentrate on it,
Yeah, I mean, and also life is so much more than just staring at those screens all the time. At least for me, the one of the main reasons why I really like my swing trading approach is the fact that I mean, I've been very busy this week, so I haven't really been looking at the charts or trading at all. I've just entered, my first trade this week. I've entered just now, and that's going to be the only trade I take this week, most likely. But I don't have to, like, I've entered the trade, I've set the orders, everything is fine. Now I can go and do something else, right? If I would be day trading or scalping this, I would have to, sit here for at least 3 or 4 hours from now, or at least have alerts and be very active.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work very well for me. And we also have families, like it's yeah, we got stuff going on. We don't want to be sitting here at staring at the screens all day. So I think yeah, it's you really have to choose the way of trading that fits, works for you.
I don't want to get too philosophical now, but later on when you reach the end of your life, and it's not going to be worth to be proud of that you have earned $10 million with trading. You're probably going to cherish the times that you spent with your children, with your family, with your loved ones around you. But of course, it's nice, to be able to do something that you love and that doesn't need to end up eating like 14 hours or 15 hours or 20 hours a day, and still gives you the opportunity to earn money and work when you want, and not have somebody yelling at you, you were 5 minutes late this morning, you have to stay an extra 2 hours tonight. This is for me the ultimate freedom that trading and investing brings. And you can get there as well. You can. I also didn't start with a golden spoon in my mouth. I didn't have somebody giving me 100K or 500K or whatever. Here, take this and start trading. I built this up all by myself. I know it's the same for you, Jonatan. Times were also not always sunny for you. And, if we can do it, if I can do it, let me put it like this, because I'm average intelligent, I don't shine anywhere really, except eating maybe, and you can do it as well. You just need the discipline.
The thing with trading is, like, ironically, you're closer to the mindset you need to be profitable when you first start out. Like the very first trade you take, it's like, oh, this is fun. No, I'm gonna buy. Click. That mindset you have on the very, very first trade, when you have no idea what you're doing, you're closer to profitability at that time, like almost probably like in any part of your career. Because then after that first trade, you'll start adding all these indicators and doing market research and doing all of these stuffs, and like, you don't have to be very smart to be a trader. All you have to be really is you need to understand yourself, like, and you need to understand how your emotions impact yourself. You need to have high emotional intelligence. If you look at the most successful traders, they are not the high IQ people. Like the high IQ people with really, really good grades in school. You look at the lawyers and the doctors, they are some of the worst traders. Okay. They're some of the worst traders. So the people that are really successful in society are on paper some of the worst traders. Those who are really, really good traders, they are a lot of times people that have had to they could have been people that got the right mentor from the very beginning, or it's people that have been forced to work on their self and be emotional, have high emotional intelligence. And people that work in professions like police, firemen, and high stress situations where they risk a lot are usually better traders as well.
Couldn't agree more with this, and I think that's a very good word, very good couple of sentences to bring today's live stream to an end. Has been already an hour. Was a lot of fun again. Looking forward to next week. What's going on there? Leave us a like. Subscribe to the channel, please. Also give Jonatan a follow on his Twitter account, and check out Jonatan's RLZ or RZL? RLZ YouTube training account. Some really, really great content there. Definitely should check it out. And yeah, we are going to see each other again next week, hopefully with more nice profits from bullish engulfing patterns or bearish engulfing patterns. No, you don't want to trade short. You said bullish engulfing patterns. It is then.
Yes.
And the recap of what our MEI indicator has done for the past week. See you again. Take care.